What is the lore behind the Minecraft Blaze? Blazes are mobs found only in the nether fortresses, and are the only source of blaze rods. Blaze rods are essential to getting to the end dimension, very important for speedrunning and beating the ender dragon. Since blazes are only found in nether fortresses, they are probably once guarded these fortresses. We get a hint for what their purpose is by looking at Minecraft Mob D, one of the 4 candidates you could have voted for in Minecon Earth 2017. Out of all the options, the Mob D was the most interesting. If we look at its design, it is a stronger version of the Blaze, with a helmet and a stronger outer protection. They look like they are defenders, with big shields surrounding them that would act as a great defense. In a video where Mojang talks about Mob D, they confirmed that these things surrounding Mob D are in fact shields, and spawn next to blazes. The helmet looks like it was crafted by a player. In fact, the helmet looks like it was made from netherite, even though netherite wasn't even added in the game. This shows that the blazes once guarded the nether fortress. In the nether fortresses, there is blaze spawners. Why is that? Well, in the Minecraft bastions, which we'll assume was built by the ancient builders as well, have magma spawners too, which means that maybe these ancient builders once held the power to use these monster spawners and use them to protect their most valuable loot, or for defense. If we look at the normal Blaze's design, it is a floating head with whatever the blaze rods surrounding them are. What makes this more confusing is that in Minecraft Mob D, its shields just look like a bunch of blaze rods glued together. Out of all real-life creatures, blazes kind of look like a jellyfish. Kind of. Big jellyfish have a sort of head, called hoods, and have lappets, or tentacles. This would make absolutely no sense though, as jellyfish are 95% water. I'd like to argue then that blazes are automaton, or machines. And there's actual proof of my claim, as seen or heard in the blaze's sounds that it makes. If you attack a blaze, it makes a mechanical sounding noise. Even more proof, when a ghast shoots a fireball, it sounds like it is actually spitting out a fireball organically. But when a blaze shoots a fireball, it makes a sound similar to a dispenser. Furthermore, a ghast's fireballs make a huge explosion, but Blaze's fireballs just light the area on fire, which means that they're not actually that strong, and are similar to dispensers, which only lights the area they're on fire. This could mean that blazes have dispensers inside of them, like how creepers have TNT inside of them, as shown in the Minecraft Mob Bestiary. If you listen carefully to a blaze, it makes breathing sounds. Why is that? Well, it could be a ventilation system to release all the heat that it makes, similar to a car's engine. The ancient builders are probably the ones that built the blazes, meaning that blazes are a type of golem. So why do blazes have no body? I believe that they are held together by magic. This would explain why blaze rods orbit the blaze and are floating. My theory is that blazes are a mix of magic and machinery. So then, what are the blaze rods that encompass the blaze made of? They have a bright yellow-orange color that looks like it glows. When metal is under much heat, it has that bright yellow-orange color of a blaze rod. End rods are made of blaze rods and pop chorus fruit. The glowing of the end rod is from the blaze rod, which proves that blaze rods glow. So, what are the blaze rods that surround the blaze? The blaze rods are probably made of some kind of magical crystal. My favorite theory is that blaze rods are similar to the up-and-coming Minecraft amethyst shard. Amethyst glows and the shard looks like a rod. Quartz is found in the nether, so blaze rods could have been made from a kind of crystal. Citrine quartz is a kind of yellow crystal, so it could be that. Crystals are used very much in magic, and as we discussed, blazes were probably made at least partially with magic. The ancient builders were able to build iron golems, so why not blazes? You might be wondering then why the blazes attack the player when the ancient players themselves built them. Inserting my own lore here, when the ancient builders were last holding out in the stronghold, they constructed the end portal. They sent crews of people to see if the land there was safe to start a new life, similar to how Lewis and Clark explored the Louisiana lands after the Louisiana Purchase in 1804. After many weeks, the ancient builders realized that their crew wasn't coming back. The only way to leave the end is to beat the Ender Dragon, but these explorers weren't well equipped to fight the massive dragon, so they had to cope with it. Due to external pressures, the crew, in the end, evolved into Endermen, while the ancient builders evolved into the villagers, passive creatures that are just shells of their former selves. The ancient builders in the Nether evolved into the Wither Skeletons, only remembering their one order, to guard and defend the Nether Fortress. They're still friends with the Blazes to this day. Before the players evolved into villagers, they wanted to make sure no one would enter their portals by accident and follow the same fate. They deactivated the end portals, only leaving a few Eyes of Ender in the portal, just to give clues of how to relight it. They wanted only a strong warrior to enter so they would have a chance, a test. They rushed back to their fortresses in the Nether and reprogrammed the Blazes, since they are, after all, robots, to attack the players instead. This way, if a person was trying to reactivate the portal, they would have to deal with the Blazes to get the Blaze Rods. This was to make sure that this player was good at the game. This might be why the Blaze now attacks the player. Whoever was able to defeat their Blazes, which once protected the builders from ghasts and the sort, would be able to defeat the Ender Dragon. They never got to see you, the player, finish their challenge and enter the end, defeating the Ender Dragon and freeing the end, which is the advancement you get when you defeat the Ender Dragon. Unfortunately, you, the player, were too late, for the ancient crew that first entered the end had evolved into Endermen. You had fulfilled what the ancient builders wanted you to do, but they weren't able to last long enough to see the revelation. Now, admittedly, there are still some gaps in my theory. For example, why you need blaze powder to make Eyes of Ender and enter the end portal. But this theory does bring blazes into the whole Minecraft lore story. So, blazes are machines built by players using crystals, magic, and machinery. The blazes' original purpose was to protect and guard the Nether Fortress. Their fireballs would be able to defend against ghasts. But later, with the collapse of the ancient builder civilization, they were reprogrammed to attack players so that whoever was brave enough to try to defeat the Ender Dragon would have to go against their blazes to make sure they were strong enough. Blazes are also clearly related to fire, because when you get a blaze rod, you get the achievement Into Fire. And blazes are the only mob that take damage from a snowball. Another alternate theory is that blazes are fire demons that the ancient builders tamed and built spawners for. I personally like the theory of blazes being machines, but leave your theories in the comments down below. Before you go, consider subscribing, you won't regret it. Thank you, and check out these other videos as well.